Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Happy Global Running Day. I'm Varun Sriram with Generation UCAN, and we are thrilled to be joined by Carrie Tollefson and Karissa Johnson for the first of our Global Running Day video seminar series. The topic here is Moms on the Run, and we're going to talk about nutrition, fitness, and training for mother runners. And of course, you guys aren't here to hear from me. You're here to hear from the folks we've got joining us. So Carrie and Carissa, thanks so much. Happy Global Running Day. Thanks for being here.
Happy Global Running Day. Yeah, thanks for having us.
Really excited to dive deep into this topic with you. And before we get started, I think it'd be great for you folks to let our audience know, those who don't know, who you guys are. So Carrie, why don't we start with you? You're an Olympian in 2004, have had a really distinguished professional running career. Tell us a little bit about that, how you got into the sport of running and what you're doing now.
Yeah, I have loved running since day one. I didn't know I'd become a professional runner, but my sisters were runners. My dad was a football player. My mom would have been a great athlete had she had the opportunity, I think, because she has the fire, that's for sure. But I've just enjoyed the journey all these years since I was 12 years old. So almost 20, no, almost 30 years. Oh my gosh, I'm getting old. But what this sport does for me is just bring so much joy, and it's showed me how tough I can be at times, but also just to kind of follow your passion and to follow what makes you tick in life. So I love that I've found that, and now I have three babies. They're getting big now, 2, 5, and 8, and it's just fun for me to share with them the joy of being physically fit, and also finding that passion in life. And so yeah, that's me in a nutshell. My husband and I enjoy running together, and now I found my way to Moms on the Run, and I coach, and I'm the fitness director there. So that's how Krista and I have met. Yeah.
Awesome, Carissa. Well, similarly for you, and given that it's Global Running Day, with you, I wanted to start with how you got into running personally, but then
Yeah.
also tell us a little bit about what is Moms on the Run and what inspired you to start it.
Right. Well, I've been running since I was 9 years old. It's the only sport that I ever found a real interest in, a real love for. I think I wasn't quite coordinated enough to do sports with balls, so it just seemed like a great fit for me. I remember, that first experience with running when you're doing the mile run in gym class, and I realized I could be the first girl to cross that finish line. I think that's what started the initial interest. And then I did cross country through junior high and high school. And once I was a mom, I was kind of losing that a little bit. I wasn't finding time to run anymore. And I had gone to school for exercise science, and I was a personal trainer. So I knew all about what I was supposed to be doing. But then I had three babies in 3.5 years. So life became challenging for me. And I suddenly understood that excuse that all women have about how hard it is to get it all in. And that's how Moms on the Run got started. I realized after I had my third that I probably wasn't getting a workout in unless I could find a way to bring my son with me. So I started doing a moms and baby fitness class in a local park. And that quickly turned into the women wanting to train for a 5K. They weren't runners, they wanted to become runners. I was like, well, I've been running my whole life. I can create a 5K training program. And I'd always wanted a running group, but I just didn't know how to make a business out of it. So we started a 5K training program in 2008, and it doubled in size the first year. And I had women driving an hour to get there. And that was the start of this. That was like, how can I serve more women? I can hire coaches in different cities. And that was when we just grew very quickly. And today we have 46 locations in 6 states.
It's amazing. And for both of you, when you were both of you individually kind of dealing with having kids and then getting back into running, did you initially know there was this potential for a large community of women who are experiencing the same thing, going through that same thing? Like, when did that really crystallize that you were like, hey, this isn't just me and my circle of friends locally, but this is really something, on a national level?
Yeah, I knew that women had to find a way to get fitness in again. I knew there was other women looking for that too. So that's what fueled my interest in expanding. However, I didn't know how many women wanted to become runners. That was actually a surprise to me, and it was a really fun surprise to find out that other women, I think it's just such an easy sport to get into. It's so welcoming to everyone. You can join running, you don't have to have a certain talent. You just need a good pair of running shoes and a willingness to work hard. So I think it's a sport that appeals to a lot of women that maybe haven't found their fit elsewhere. Maybe they don't feel comfortable in a gym environment, but they love to spend time outside and get active. So I just think that running is just a welcoming sport.
I agree. I love that some of the athletes that I coach now at the Highland Park location over in St. Paul, they wear their running clothes to bed now, because that was one of my tips. Because if we don't meet in the morning, or if they meet the early class, they're ready for it. But you just have to kind of fit it in where it works. And when you go to Moms on the Run, everybody is figuring out how to fit in their 30 minutes. It's an hour class, but we run for about 30 minutes, or we walk for 30 minutes, and everybody's figuring it out. And it's just so inspiring to see people that are just learning how to run, or they have run the Boston Marathon. I mean, there's a lot of different levels, but everyone comes there and we meet each other and we are excited and we're inspired, and we go home ready to tackle the world again.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome, guys. So let's dive into some of the specific tips that we're going to have you share for mother runners. And I think, in hearing about Moms on the Run, it's clear that both of you guys have a lot of experience working with mother runners, and you've lived it yourself. So this great background to hear how this all came together. And where I want to start first is sort of some of the tips around fitness. So Carrie, as being the fitness director for Moms on the Run, you just kind of started alluding to how the goals can be very different. But for a lot of people that are, or I should ask you this, are there a lot of people that are coming into Moms on the Run, or even just generally speaking, mother runners who want to get into running, who haven't had the experience of being a runner, having trained before, and now want to first get into running? What are some general tips about how to get started?
Yeah, most definitely. And Karissa and her staff, they've built a really nice Learn to Run program already. So we're not even touching that, because it has worked, and the athletes love that. The moms love it. All the runners love it. I would have to say that for me, though, coming into this program, what I'm doing differently is just mixing up what's already worked. I'm just giving them new workout ideas, just different, I guess, just a different approach maybe at times, pushing them a little bit harder at times when they might not have been pushed in the past, or they have done a program that they've done, year after year, and they just need a different taste of it. But I think that athletes need to just realize that all of us have that in us. And yes, we're not all as fast as each other, but if we can get the most out of our bodies on that little given time that we have chosen to be away from our families, be away from our work, and take a little time for ourselves, that's the main objective. And we want these athletes to get fit, but we also want them to take a little time for themselves. And being a professional athlete, I had a lot of time to just take care of myself. And I made sure I had my naps, and I had chiropractic care or PT care, and I was in the gym, and I was running twice a day, and everything was about me. And it was super fun. But now I have no time for me. And this is a really good way for me to remember that I have to take care of myself. And, a lot of people say, Carrie, you just went for a 19-mile run this morning. I did. And I have devoted 10 weeks to training for something. I'm not training for a race, I'm training for life. But I don't get to run very much on the other days. I have one day a week where I have like 2 hours where I have happy hour with my training partners. And then I get to go and coach, or, do whatever else I'm doing in life. So I just think if you can find the run, or you can go for a walk, you're just going to get the most out of yourself and be a better person because of it.
Now, Karissa, Carrie was talking a little bit about some of the specific training and the structure and the workouts. Philosophically, for somebody that's getting into running, how much do you think it should be about just running versus doing other stuff? And if you promote doing other stuff, what are some examples of other types of training that can supplement the running?
Yeah, I mean, in general, we encourage being active. And so when we provide, like, our main program is an 18-week training program, and we actually write cross training in the schedule, because we want people to know that on their off days, we still want them to be active, but we also want to protect our newer runners and help them ease in slowly. So at class, what it looks like is a lot of walking. So for the beginner runners, they're doing a lot more walking at first than running. We really emphasize interval training, the benefits of interval training, the way it helps people ease into a new sport. So we're doing the walk, run workout, but we're also taking a good chunk of our class for the strength training and the flexibility part. That's so important, to help new runners to get strong and not become injured. they're suddenly putting these repetitive forces and the new impact on their body, and it really helps to help them safely start a strength training routine at the same time. So that's one of our emphasis at class as far as cross training, is adding the walking, adding the strength training, a good amount of stretching. We even talk about self-care techniques like foam rolling and that sort of thing at the end of our classes. Outside of, we don't have specific recommendations. We have some franchises that offer like yoga for runners, or they might offer another format. But mostly, we tell people get out there, be active, go on walks and bike rides with your families, get the family involved, because that works a lot better at this stage of life.
It's great advice. Now, Carrie, a little bit on the flip side for you, you mentioned that, that there are runners of all different levels. So we've talked about, the beginner runners who are joining Moms on the Run and perhaps trying to train for their first race, but you're also working with mothers who have run before, trained at a high level perhaps before, and are trying to get back into it. It's something that you lived yourself personally. Can you share maybe from a personal level some of the tips and tricks you use to motivate yourself and get back to training at a high level? And how do you maybe take that to the athletes you work with?
Yeah, I said I have to wear my running clothes to bed, because I do. I don't want to take the time to have to think about what I'm going to wear. So I wear my running clothes to bed. And yes, my husband is totally cool with that, because he knows I'm going to, be working out hard and staying fit for our family. But, I think coming back from pregnancy and having babies, it was a challenge. I put 30, 40 pounds on like everybody else. That was a big weight gain to my body, which has never seen it. So I had to take the time to slowly get back into the sport. My goals changed a little bit different. There's a lot of moms that come back and compete at the level I was competing at, but it wasn't in my heart anymore. And you have to have everything firing to be at that level. So I wanted to be mom. I wanted to do TV work. I wanted to do broadcast. I wanted to help see Tolly run continue on. But I also wanted to do some other things. So for me, my career changed, but my fitness goals didn't really. I still wanted to be really healthy. And that's what I think I bring to the table now. And I think a lot of the athletes are a little bit more in tune with me now, because I am the mom. And I get that, what they're going through. I'm not just this Olympic athlete that is coming and throwing workouts at them. They understand the struggle that I deal with now, and we can relate a little bit more. So it's been fun to get advice from other people and to hear that they are too struggling to get out the door. And, they too have to hydrate. They too have to replenish and do all the same things I did as a pro, and in a different way sometimes. So I think that's been really fun for me, is the journey of coming back from a pregnancy or a big injury and being able to share with the other runners, but also to hear their journey back as well, because I've learned a lot from them already.
And, for you, just sticking with that point, of course, doing it professionally, like for you to perhaps get back to the same level if you were doing it professionally, maybe a little bit not as realistic for someone who wasn't doing it professionally. But even, can you just speak to that, like that idea of becoming comfortable with saying, hey, now my goals are different, or if that ends up being the case for someone, how do you deal with that mentally? Like saying like, hey, I've trained before, I was training to achieve a certain level. Now I'm still training hard, still pushing myself to get everything out of myself, but it's just something different.
Yeah, I have to be okay with being slower. And that is not fun. I'm never going to hit those PRs again. And it's like, oh gosh, a reminder every day that I'm getting to be older and slower. But I think that's been fun for the athletes to hear, that I too am not what I used to be. And we all get older. And how do we deal with that? And how do we stay positive? And how do we find new goals to chase? And one of the things that I'm doing right now is seeing if I can do this long run challenge. And I started at 10 miles and I go to 20, and I'm not training for a certain race, but I'm training to see if I can go and kick my own butt a little bit, like I like that in life. And I think some of the moms on the run like seeing that I'm tired too when I come to practice after having a long run. I'm blowing my whistle and I'm yelling at them to get going and get after it. And they understand that I do the same to myself. So it's a nice balance that way for them to know that I know how hard they're working and I know how hard it hurts, but I'm not going to give in. I'm going to make them get going.
Before we move on to the next topic about nutrition that we're going to touch on, Karissa, I just wanted to ask you, for you coming back and starting to run again, were there any one or two simple tips that you were able to use to motivate yourself, or even able to use to help yourself stay consistent? Like, Carrie, I know what you mentioned, kind of planning that happy hour that you referenced with your running buddies every week, like sticking to that is something you've used. Just curious, Karissa, if there was any tactics that you might have used.
I think most importantly for me was changing my goals. And so instead of trying to reach a certain time and a certain, PR goals, it became more about how many times am I going to get out there this week? How many times am I going to get out for 20 minutes? How many days, if I don't have a time to run, I will run for 1 mile. And for me, it's like, getting out there still encourages me to have the habit of doing so. And so for me, it's just about baby steps and little goals at times when maybe life seems undoable and I just can't fit this in right now. I have to have very small goals and I have to feel like I'm achieving those. And so I think, setting the goals, but also realizing as life gets older and as you get busier and as your body is changing, and especially because you're working out maybe less often than you used to, starting to learn to, self-care. Me, I'm starting to spend a lot more time stretching than I used to. I always used to want to skip that. But learning to do those self-care things and also having just baby steps that I give myself that are more doable help me to stay motivated.
So I think it's a great point. You can't enjoy the sport and be happy if you're getting hurt. So really great stuff. So guys, let's move on to nutrition a little bit. So of course, nutrition is so paramount in running to achieving your goals, and very much tie into a lot of the fitness goals that folks may have. From both of your standpoint, from both what you hear from the athletes you work with and maybe your own personal experience, what are some of the biggest challenges moms face when it comes to just everyday nutrition, perhaps, or maybe more specifically, fueling themselves for the training? Whoops, did we have
we're back.
We are back. All right. Did you guys catch what I just asked you?
Biggest challenges.
So maybe from a nutrition standpoint, biggest challenges that mother runners will face nutritionally, either based on what you guys have dealt with or what you've heard people say at training.
I would say just busyness, like how am I gonna prepare a healthy meal? You're so often eating your kids' leftovers. All of a sudden they're your priority, and you're making sure they eat healthier more than you're making sure yourself eats healthy sometimes. So I think that's just the number one challenge we hear about, is how do we have time to do meal planning, to prepare healthy snacks, that sort of thing.
Yeah. One thing that I loved about Gen UCAN when I started with you guys is you've sponsored camp for years and you've helped out with See Tally Run, and I've used it for years. But that was the one thing that I loved, was that I knew in my phone, since I've had Ruby, I've had a drink water reminder and it's more so to make sure I give her some hydration as well. So now, ever since you guys came on board with me, I have drink water, where's your UCAN in my phone. And it's just, I think those are the things, like when I come home at night, if I don't have a bunch of grilled chicken breasts already in the fridge, a lot of times it's, something simple that's not so great for us, like a cheese quesadilla or throwing a pizza. I try super hard to think about the things I want to make, but it's just, life is busy. So I think for me, that has been a really nice kind of thing for me to have, is the Gen UCAN throughout the day, a water reminder, but also just to make sure I plan a little bit. And a lot of times it's still just throwing in, what you have at home quickly. But if I can plan a little bit more ahead, I try to get in a lot of that protein and, like you said, a little bit of carbohydrates, because we're still training hard. And some fun along the way. I always have a milkshake at the end of the night, I'm not gonna lie. So,
Fun is important. But I think, practically speaking, Carrie, those are two great points. That just that aspect of reminding yourself when you're so busy, we can easily forget to do some things that we know are important. And then the preparation, of course, is key. Karissa, philosophically, and knowing that nutrition is, of course, so individualized, is there just kind of a philosophical approach, like a big picture? This is generally speaking what we suggest people do from a nutrition standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, it is so individualized. So we tend to be somewhat vague but general, and promoting, basic healthy concepts. Balanced eating, that's really important to make sure women, every time they eat anything, even a small snack, we try to get them to include fats, healthy fats and protein. That's what's going to help them be more satisfied. It's going to help them keep their blood sugar levels stable so that they're not always, craving sugar and craving those snack foods. I think that so often women aren't realizing that they're experiencing some of the challenging cravings and things that cause them to make unhealthy choices just because they're just never feeling, they're not getting what they need. They're not getting the nutrients that are going to fuel them, that are going to satisfy them. So we just, really encourage that balance and, very little sugar, I guess is my personal philosophy. But, trying to help women to see the importance of getting, for me, I like to tell them to get more fat in their diet. I think a lot of women have been trained to be maybe a little bit afraid of fat, and it's just really important to fuel our brains and our bodies.
Mm-hmm. It's a great point. I think even nationally, you're seeing that take hold where the fat is not being demonized, and
right.
It's not all about carbohydrates anymore, like we were used to seeing.
Yeah.
Just a few things I wanted to pick up on, Karissa, that I think that you highlighted that were great points. It kind of feeding into what Carrie said. If it's tough to be prepared all the time, but you're also dealing with these blood sugar swings that make you have more cravings, make you more hangry where you don't want to be prepared, it kind of feeds into each other, So it's kind of taking a little bit of what Carrie said, taking a little bit of what you said, putting them together, and we can set ourselves up for success. And now from a training and fueling standpoint, we've been from UCAN, we've been really excited to partner with Moms on the Run. And really a lot of it feeds into what you were just talking about philosophically. So from a fuel standpoint, when you want to fuel the training, something like UCAN, which Carrie, I want to ask you a little bit about your experience with it. It's going to be more of that balanced energy because it's giving you carbohydrates without sugar. So it's a starch-based carbohydrate. It's trickling in more slowly, and it's meant to keep your blood sugar steady. So Karissa, kind of the exact thing you were mentioning, that's a challenge for a lot of women, especially when they're training. This is something UCAN addresses. And then from a hydration standpoint, like Carrie was talking about, this is, again, if we're talking about trying to lessen the sugar intake, this is a way to get electrolytes without sugar. So the UCAN Hydrate product doesn't have any sugar in it, but it's still going to give you the salts that you need when you're sweating, especially if you're running long, like Carrie was talking about with those 19-mile runs. Carrie, as being someone, that's used it extensively, you've had it at your camps. What's been your experience both with the UCAN fuel products and the hydration?
Yeah, I love them. I mean, at first the super starch was like, what is this? Because it is a different taste, and you can allude to that as well. But, I think that has really saved me, especially now I'm not going to have any more kids, I don't think. I mean, unless we have some surprise, but I'm getting old, like I said. But when I was first coming on board with Gen UCAN, I was still nursing. And I was doing these long runs. And so it really saved me there. But I could now, as I'm kind of, I'm not taking such great care of myself because we're taking care of everybody else. This has really saved me for my runs. I do drink the super starch during my long runs, but I have a good swig of it beforehand because I really haven't had to fuel with any kind of other product during my run. And afterwards, I'm telling you, how a lot of nutritionists will say, get your fuel in 30 minutes after. And Gen UCAN really is not going to say not to do that. But for me, if I do get busy or I got to get a kid on a bus or get to school quick and I forget to put something in my mouth, this has really saved me. So I don't have that huge burn or downfall, whatever you want to say. But yeah, the hydration packets are awesome. They taste good. They're light. I know my kids can have it and they'll enjoy it. And so right there, then and there, to be able to have a product that my kids love, that sold me right away. So
my kids have started using it too.
Yeah, they're all athletes. They're older.
Yeah, I got to get through those tracks, spring track season and lacrosse practices. I mean, whatever helps to make sure, if I can get them to not have those other,
the other brands.
I just love that it's natural. That's what I need as a mom to get them more natural products.
Me too.
Great perspective hearing that from both you guys. And Carrie, one thing I wanted to piggyback on, it was interesting you were talking about the feeling at the end of the run. It really ties back to that blood sugar stabilization, right? So it is like if you are dealing with that reality where you don't have the ideal opportunity to refuel immediately after a run, not fueling with simple carbs throughout your run and riding that blood sugar roller coaster, having something like UCAN that'll keep you steady. It can also stay with you post run. And then I just wanted to add on the kids side, we also have the UCAN bars, which I know
Yes,
we'll be
we're
having
good.
out at your race, the Moms on the Run race at the end of the summer, and that's another great option, a low sugar snack option.
Have it in your bag.
Exactly, and part of that preparation that you were talking about. So, guys, to wrap it up with our last discussion point for this, and I really want to thank both of you for joining us. Let's talk about fun, because really, when it comes down to it, it's all about fun. So in having this community, and having a group of like-minded people who are going through similar challenges as you are, how much is just trying to foster that sense of community and that sense of fun? Like how core is that to what you're trying to build and getting people to stay with the training?
Yeah, for us, it is critical. When we women are so busy, we only have so much time in the day. We got to fit it all in 1 hour. So
Yeah.
when you could come to class, you're going to get your fitness, but you're going to have fun too, because we need, you got to have your me time. You got to have your girlfriend time. And if you can combine that all together and get your workout in, it's a win-win. So we're all about making the workouts fun, whether it's an icebreaker before class or turning the run into some sort of a game. Carrie's been great at adding some more of those elements to our workouts this year, and it's just been a lot of fun. So yeah, if we can keep people having fun, they're going to keep coming back, because that's the community that they're looking for, is to not only get their workout in, but to have a good time doing it. It helps you to stick with an exercise program longer. The accountability, it's all a part of that.
Carrie, for you, I feel like fun is your middle name for anybody that's seen anybody that's seen any of your videos or listened to any of your stuff. I'm just curious, was that always, even when you were training professionally, was that just always your personality, trying to make the sport fun, have fun with the training? Or is that something that once you didn't run professionally, you started to have more of?
No, I have one life to live. And if I'm not having fun, then I am doing something wrong. And that, I ran better when I was happy and having fun in life outside of the run. I was so much better of an athlete. So yeah, if we're not bringing it to, whatever race, or we're not bringing it to practice, or we're not bringing it to the home, I think life is it's kind of doom and gloom then. So you know what? I don't really care who's watching me. If I'm dancing at a start line or dancing at practice, or we're doing lipstick Mondays, which we do over here at my group, we're just having a good time. And we only have one life to live. So let's take good care of our bodies. Let's put good, nutrients into our bodies. And let's go and work them hard, because that's what we're here for. We can work hard. We are tough. And, I think that the athletes at Moms on the Run, but also all the athletes that I've met in life, when they really find that run that they like, whether it's 5K or the marathon, or, just going for a 20-minute run outside your house, I do find that brings the fun to life, because you do feel good afterwards, and it gives you that endorphin rush. And I just can't say anything bad about running. I just love it. I do not like it when I'm injured, but I do like it when I'm feeling good.
I want just one more for you, playing off what you said. Do you think, a lot of times you might see professional athletes, they do something for a long time, then they get burnt out. Do you think that approach and attitude you were just talking about is part of the reason why you still enjoy running? And I guess that could apply to anybody who's training, right? Even if you're not doing it professionally, if it's not fun, the burnout rate's higher. So yeah, I was just curious, what are your thoughts on that? Can you speak to that?
Yeah, when I was a professional athlete, I was getting injured a lot at the end of my career, and I was putting off having babies for many years, because I wanted to get the most out of myself. And that's kind of why I think I didn't go back to racing. I always had the run, but being a professional runner, being that racer, was tough for me after I had Ruby, because that wasn't as fun anymore. I didn't want to go and stay in a hotel without Charlie and my kids. So that's why I chose a different path. And I'm not saying anyone is, right or wrong, whatever they choose. And yeah, I just think that being a professional athlete, it really is, it's pretty demanding, and it's very stressful at times. You think of it, how we got insurance was we had to be in the top 2 in the country in our event. That was pretty stressful at times. There was a lot riding on how we performed, right? So once I kind of left the sport, which I really haven't publicly said I've left it, because I might just want to go back to masters, you never know. But once I kind of got away from that, I realized that what I learned from being that kind of an athlete and really being able to push myself and persevere, I feel like I can tackle anything. I might not be as good at it, but I'm not afraid of it. So that's been a real blessing, and I'm really thankful that I had it.
Those are some great motivational words to end on. I don't even think I should ask you guys anything else. But before we sign off, I really want to thank you both. This has been super insightful. So great to have you both with us, kicking off a great day of video seminars all day today. So we've got Meb coming up in about 25 minutes to share some of his insight. But before we sign off, for both of you, anything that you wanted to add that we didn't cover, that I didn't ask you about? Is there anything we missed, or any final takeaways that you want people to leave with?
I just want to encourage women to join us. You know, we're growing quickly, and we would love to build more locations around the country to help more women experience the fitness, fun, and friendship. That's our goal, and we hope to keep bringing more women on board this year.
Yeah, so check out UCAN. It's awesome. We love it. Thank you.
Well, I do have to give both you guys a plug though as well. So Karissa, for women that want to either run with you or perhaps start their own franchise, momsontherun.com, is that the best place for them to find all that out?
Check out momsontherun.com, and we'd love to get them connected.
Awesome. And check them out on social media as well to get a sense of some of the fun that they're bringing to the training. And Carrie, for you, you know, there's a host of things you're doing from a content creation standpoint, video interviews with a lot of great runners, podcasts. Where can everyone find all your stuff?
ctollyrun.com, and also just, you know, on my personal pages, there's a lot of fun stuff going on. I'm heading out to New York tomorrow to do the New York Mini 10K, where we're going to see Mary Catani and Molly Huddle and Des Linden and all the greats along with the pack. So it's going to be super fun. But yeah, we're just enjoying spreading the word of this amazing community that we're in as runners. And no matter how fast you are, just go out there and enjoy yourself.
Well, thank you guys so much. It's really a pleasure to be on this with you, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Thank you, Lauren. Thanks, everyone.
Have a good day. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. I will be back in about 25 minutes with Meb. See you soon.